right, welcome you guys. We're going to start by practicing seated today. So find a comfortable seat. I'm going to choose Virasana. So I like lots of height for my Virasana. And any way you choose to sit, just make sure that you can orient the floor of your pelvis towards the ground and the crown of your head towards the sky. And one of my favorite instructions given for finding a comfortable seat is from a meditation teacher. His first name is Jules. I forget his last name. But he teaches out of the Shambhala Center in Boulder, Colorado. And what he instructed was sit down, stand up, and stay still. So I oftentimes use that to get myself settled in. And see if you can start to orient yourself directly around your center. So the channel that runs from the crown of your head directly down through the floor of your pelvis. And part of what you're doing is situating yourself between heaven and earth. Then you can take a moment and blow it way out and just remember that even heaven and earth are part of a larger universe. And give yourself all that space, right? All the space of the entire universe. Let your mind go that big, right? And then, really allow your ears to open. Right? Allow the qualities of sound that you hear as if you were listening to the entire universe, right? Let it be that big. And then it's almost like, sometimes they'll start a movie and you're way out in outer space and they start to zoom into Earth, and then they go, okay, well that's Earth, and then you start to go in, you start to say, okay, well now we're going into the United States, and okay, and now we're going to a certain state inside the United States, and now we're zooming all the way in, until you bring yourself all the way down to you, right? And you situate yourself as you, right? And put yourself in the center. The center of your circumstances, not necessarily the center of the universe. And in a way that gives you a sense of both being part of something much, much bigger, and also allows you to recognize kind of how small we are in some way. And I don't find that diminishing, even though it seems like it's almost the word that would describe it, but almost a relief, right? See if then you can start to bring your awareness onto your breath and allow your breath to flow right through that center channel. Earlier today, I was sitting like this, and it really helped me to imagine my breath was almost like a river just going right through my center. Give yourself 10 more breaths. Inhale your arms sideways and up. And hook your thumbs, and again, inhale, reach up. And then exhale, let your hands press down, almost like you're pressing the air around you down towards the ground. Okay, if your eyes were closed, you can open your eyes, take your blocks out of the way. And then come all the way up to standing. Right, come to the top of your mat. Right, bring your feet about hips-width distance apart. It's about 2 fists would fit between your feet. Inhale your arms sideways and up. And exhale, folding right at the hinge of your pelvis, gliding over the heads of your femurs, folding all the way in. Bend your knees as much as you need to, folding in. When you come into this forward fold, take 2 fists, put them right between your arches. Roll all the way out to the pinky edge side of your palms. Then take your hands to opposite elbows and let the weight of your head and shoulders hang. Right, bend your knees enough that you don't feel like your hamstrings are overstretched. You're trying to find the fold at your hip creases, so your ribs are on your thighs, and you're looking for the ball and mitt fit, right? The ball and the socket, right in your hip. You can grab opposite hand to opposite elbow. You can sway a little bit side to side. It's been a heavy few days, to say the least. Give yourself some room to breathe into your back and see if you can allow the heaviness to roll off your shoulders. Okay, throughout the practice, your mind may wander to other things and other places. A tried and true trick is to bring your awareness back to your breath. So you'd like your inhales and exhales to be smooth and easy as you go. That quality of a river, right, really works for me, but if there's another visual that works for you, use it. Right, see if you can allow your breath to have an audible quality as you go. So it'll sound kind of sweet, hopefully, right? A little aspirant sound, the Ujjayi pranayama, right? Just softly constricting the back of your throat. And letting the exhale pour out with the same quality, the same sound. Okay, release your elbows, sweep your hands around behind your back. Interlace your fingers down by your sacrum. If you can bring your palms to press, do that. Inhale your knuckles away from your back, and then let your hands come heavy over your head. Inhale your knuckles away from your back again. As you exhale, relax your neck and shoulders. Think of your hands heavy, rinsing out your shoulders. Okay, then begin to bend your right knee, look over your left shoulder, under your left shoulder. You can press through your left foot. You can rock a little weight towards your heel or forward towards your toes. Right, imagine breathing up the outside of your left thigh. As you exhale, firm your low belly, bend your left knee, switching sides. You can even lean your torso onto your left leg. Your shoulder and your thigh might touch. You can ground down through your right foot. Inhale like you could lift all the way up through your right thigh to your right hip. And as you exhale, firm your belly, draw yourself back to center. Relax your neck, drop your head again, hands heavy overhead. Then hands down to your low back. Let your fingertips slide down the sides of your legs. Press through your feet. Imagine your feet pulling the mat back. And as you inhale, roll your spine out long. Collarbones broad, crown of your head lengthens forward. You're free to tip your chin up away from your belly button if that helps. And exhale, folding back in. 2 more times. Inhale, think of your spine unrolling. Lots of length. Exhaling, folding right at the hip crease again. Inhale and roll, strong legs. Exhaling, curling back in. Then root down through your feet again. Inhale, sweep your arms sideways and up. Cross your thumbs. Think of going in both directions, down into the earth. Inhale, rise up, reach up. You can lengthen through your belly. Maybe press your hips lightly forward, lifting up out of your low back. And exhale, folding up and over the top, all the way back in. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Exhaling, folding back in. Heel toe your feet together. Right, you're asking a little bit more of your balance, a little more specificity in your body, really trying to connect to the center. So you can think of the arches of your feet, the inner line of your legs, right, the floor of your pelvis, the diaphragm, all the way up through the roof of your mouth and the crown of your head. Like all those arches are building on each other. Inhale, sweep your arms sideways and up. Rise up through your arches, right, reaching up, lifting up. And exhaling, folding up and over the top. I like to think of the arms almost like wings on your back. So your shoulder blades right on your back, right? Your spine long as you fold. Bend your knees as much as you like to fold on in. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Exhaling, curling in, and then just 2 more times. Inhaling, letting your breath lift you tall. And exhaling, letting your exhale dive you forward. Last one, just truly following your own breath. And then bring both hands down, step your feet back into an upper push-up plank, pause for a moment, bring your knees down to the mat, push the floor away so you feel kind of the fullness of your upper back. We might come back to this later, but your scapula, your shoulder blades in your back, they have a lot of range. So notice that my upper body's moving a lot, but my elbows aren't bending at all. Or maybe there they did, they just bent a little bit. But right, you can press up and down, your shoulder blades moving closer to your ribs closer to your shoulder blades, and then your ribs dropping away from your shoulder blades. So choose pressing away, broaden your collarbones. Feel free to keep your knees down, or you can curl your toes and lift your knees up off the ground. Inhale, full lungs. Exhale, slowly lowering down. Press straight back up. Take an inhale. Again, lower just about halfway down. And press back up. Take another inhale, and slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Lengthen your toes long behind you, tailbone towards the ground. Inhale, roll your shoulders back, peeling your spine long. Think of your belly growing longer, your spine lengthening, right? Your legs strong, like you've got a tail pressing the floor away. And then lowering all the way back on down, curl your toes, press your sitting bones back towards your heels, keep your toes curled, and really reach your hips back and press long through your hands. Walk your fingertips out a little bit further and just start to let your body kind of move a little bit so you get some length to your sides. You can walk your fingertips out further. You can sway a little bit. You might drop your right ear to your right shoulder, right? Lean onto your right side, reach out through your left arm. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder, reach out long through your right arm. And then right back to the center. Take an inhale, lift the heels of your palms away from the mat. And exhale, drop your hips down and back towards your heels. And bring your hands flat to the ground. Squeeze the mat so there's a hollow at the center of your palm. The knuckle at the base of your index finger presses down your fingerprints like they want to leave their mark on the mat. And then toes already curled, arches of your feet open towards the back wall. Inhale your sitting bones way up and back into your downward facing dog. Start to walk it out. Bend your right knee, reach your left heel down. Bend your left knee, reach your right heel down. Right, let your body move a little bit in it. You can turn your toes to the right, hips to the left. Turn your toes to the left, sway your hips to the right. Really getting some length through both sides. Then find yourself back at the center in a nice long downward facing dog, almost like someone could lift you up by your hips. Soften your knees, gaze forward. You can step, hop, or float your feet right up in between your hands, coming into a forward fold back at the top of your mat. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Exhaling, curling back in over your legs. Inhale, sweep your arms sideways and up. Bring your palms to press. Lift right up out of your waist. And exhaling, folding right up and over again, right at the hip creases as you fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to get the fold. Right? You could be a lot more bent, right? So your knees can be really deeply bent here. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Again, bending your knees as much as you like. And then you can also bring your hands to your shins or your thighs. Right up here. Yep. And then coming back on it. Bring both hands down, step your feet back. Again, knees or no knees. I'm just going to show with knees. Inhale. And exhale as you lower. Inhale into a gentle upward facing dog, right, with your pelvis down, a little kind of cobra. Or if you want to come up a little bit higher, maybe your hips leave the ground. Right, shoulders rolling down and back away from your ears, elbows by your sides, ears lifting up. And then curl your toes under, hips up and back to your downward facing dog. Again, breathing into your body, reaching out through your arms, almost like they start all the way back at your hip and they just extend down. So let's say to really feel that line, bring your left hand to the center, take your right hand, reach it around for your left heel, right? And then you get to press out through your whole center, right? So your sitting bones reaching straight back, tailbone back behind you, and then almost like there's a center line, right? Well, we've been using that a lot, right? So you know there is, right? From the floor of your pelvis through the crown of your head, and then you're spinning round that center line, right? Your left shoulder blade pressing onto your back. You can bend your right knee and bring it in towards your armpit. And then switching sides, right? Right hand out in front, right? Press the floor away. Bend your knees if you need to grab your heel, right? Most likely, you might need to walk your feet in too. Really go for your heel. And then pressing the floor away and rolling around your center. Right? Oftentimes the left hip's really gonna wanna drop, try to lift it up. Then see if you can keep it lifted, woo, I'm gonna fall, right? As you bend your left knee. Okay, bring both hands back out long. Inhale, both sitting bones up and back. Soften your knees, gaze forward. You can step, hop, or float your feet up in between your hands. I'm just gonna walk up, but as I walk up, I'm pressing the floor down, right? Trying to think of lifting my hips up away from the floor. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Exhaling, curling in. Inhale to rise. Exhale, hands down by your sides. Okay, connect to the ground beneath your feet. Rise all the way up through the center line. Inhale your arms sideways and up, wrapping around and in. Exhaling, folding up and over the top, forward towards your shins. Inhale and roll. Exhale, both hands down. Again, you can step, hop, or float your way back. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you rise. Back to downward facing dog. I've been closing my eyes most of the time, so I really use that a lot to kind of orient myself inside, give myself maybe more space, right? So not having to be aware of so many things at the same time. It's a double-edged sword, right? You can work it both ways. You might notice if you really always have your eyes open and have trouble closing them, or if you always have your eyes closed and have trouble opening them. Okay, so you can step your left foot in a little bit. Inhale your right leg up high. Roll your right ankle round clockwise, counterclockwise. Then bend your right knee and make some gentle circles around your right hip. Again, try going both directions. You can go clockwise, right, counterclockwise. All right, then inhale your right leg way out long. Lift your right hip up and over your left knee still faces the nose. Bend your right knee like your right knee wants to see the ceiling. You can pull your left heel around towards your left hip. And reach out long through both arms, shoulders square to the mat, or you can let them tip open, or you just want to notice which one you're choosing. And then straighten your right leg, square your hips and shoulders to the ground. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose, press through your left big toe, shifting your shoulders over your wrists. Inhale your right leg out long. Exhale again, knee to nose, press the floor down. Inhale your right leg out long. This time step it right on through between your hands. Right, your right knee fits your right armpit. Keep your left hand down. Inhale your right arm up. Right, think of taking your hips and leveling them out. Usually the left hip's gonna wanna drop, right, to help with the twist. Right, you can even take your right hand right to your sacrum at the base of your spine. Right, and then think of spinning around your center line. Then reach your right arm all the way up. Spin your right bicep around towards your face, reaching from your left heel, pressing back all the way out through your right fingertips. Walk your right hand to the inside of your right foot. Turn all the way around till you face the back of your mat. Right, press through your right foot, so the sole of your right foot is facing the wall behind you, right hand underneath your right shoulder. Inhale your left arm up. Again, you can take your left hand to your low back, Right, if the right hip is dropping down, lift it on up. Right, inhale your left arm up and spin your left bicep over your ear. Inhale from your right heel all the way out through your left fingers. Try to find the diagonal. Connect your imagination right all the way through. And then bring your left hand down to the inside. Walk yourself to the center. Right, feet are already going to be in a kind of split, but just double check that your feet are set up well so that your toes are either parallel with the long side or the short side of your mat rather, or slightly pigeon-toed. Inhale like you're going to take a half lift, hips back, chest forward. Exhale, start to fold yourself in, right? So letting yourself now round through your spine, almost like you want your forehead to go all the way through your heels. And you can see the ceiling on the other side of your seat. So you can press through your feet, right? If you need to bend your knees, go right ahead. You can bend your knees, ideally working towards straight legs. And then draw your lower abdominal muscles in, your belly button towards the ceiling. Your spine rounds and your gaze goes right all the way up the other way. You can play with rocking a little weight forward towards your toes, or rocking some weight back into your heels. And slowly start to walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale into your half lift, long spine. Exhaling, start to walk your way back towards the front of your mat so you can pick up your toes, pivot on your heels. Right toes turn back forward, left heel lifts. Step your left foot up right next to your right. Inhale and roll into your half lift, a long spine. Exhaling, folding in, drop your hips almost as low as your knees. Inhale your palms to press, wrapping through your center. So low belly draws in, armpits wrap in. Inhale, reach up for Utkatasana. Exhale, drop your hips a little lower. Inhale again, rising. Exhale, hips down. We're going to keep going with this. Inhale. Exhale, hips lower. Inhale. And exhale all the way down. Give your knees a good squeeze. Right, give yourself a good hug. Right, breathe into your back and get as much contact as you can. If you want to take a crow or press to handstand or anything, this is actually a pretty good spot to do it from. You've got a good connection through your center, right? You've been using your core, right? Lifting through your pelvis, using your lower abdominal muscles a bunch. So if you wanted to, you're in a kind of good position to do some of that stuff. I'm just going to show crow. Crow is one that I think a lot of people associate with yoga. It's like I want to be able to do that. Yeah, there's a lot of tricks to it. It could be a whole thing on its own. But for now, just let your feet stay together so your big toes touch. Right, bring your knees up towards your armpits. Right, a little bit wider than your armpits, but if you could actually put them right inside, that would probably be the easiest way to go. And then squeeze the mat so your hands are just like they would be for a downward facing dog. Bend your elbows and start to shift your weight forward. Think of placing your knees on the backs of your arms or in your armpits, just like you would put a coffee cup on a shelf. Look forward, right? Shifting forward. Don't think about your feet. Just keep shifting forward. And then maybe your feet come up off the ground. If they do, you can start to squeeze them towards your butt. Lift your belly button up and in towards the ceiling again. Right? Keep breathing through your back. If you're going to shoot your feet back, you want to think of it as a 50-50 thing. So you want to imagine half of your body going forward and half going back. Inhaling into upward facing dog. And back to downward facing dog. All right, so back on your downward facing dog. Again, reconnect to your hands. Inhale, lift up tall through your waist, like your hips are reaching away from your shoulders. Exhale, down the backs of your thighs, down towards your heels, lifting up through the fronts of your thighs. Or feel free to bend your knees and kind of make it a little bit more playful in a way, right? Letting your belly be long, right? Letting your hips have a little bit of a tip. And inhale your left leg up and back. You can roll your left ankle round clockwise, counterclockwise. Bend your left knee, make some circles. Then inhale your left leg way out long. Stack your left hip over your right. Bend your left knee like your heel wants to kick your own seat, left knee reaching towards the ceiling. Inhale your left leg out long, square your hips and shoulders to the mat. Press through your right big toe, knee to your nose. Inhale your left leg out long. Exhale, left knee to your nose. Inhale your left leg out long. Step it right on through between your hands. This time heel toe your left foot out a little bit so it's wider than it would be if it were right in line with your hip. Right, so toes slightly out, right, like they're pointing out towards about 10 o'clock on a clock. Bring your right knee down for a moment, right hand out to the right, and just let your left knee glide way out to the side so you have your left knee and your right knee reaching in opposite directions away from one another. Now you can rock a little bit here. You can press through your right foot a little bit, lifting your knee up and down. There's definitely no pain allowed, right? So nothing like that. Inhale your left arm up. Take your left hand behind your head. Right? Lift your chin away from your chest. So really, it's almost like you're cupping the back of your head like you're holding on to a basketball and you're lifting up and back. Your elbow can wrap in towards your face. Get some length to your belly. Then you can lift your right knee up away from the mat. Right? Reach your left arm back on up, spin it forward, and keep going in this big arc, right? Like you're going around a ball behind you. And walk your left hand all the way down. Walk yourself all the way around so you're facing the back of the mat. Right? Heel toe your right foot out a little bit. Right toes would point out again towards about 2 o'clock. Left hand down a little wider than your shoulder. You can let the outer edge of your right foot, or the pinky edge side, just be on the mat. Right knee lengthening away from your left knee. And inhale your right arm up. Take your hand behind your head. Right, fold your elbow in and then inhale, lifting up and back. And your left shoulder blade comes onto your back. And your whole right side seems super long. You can reach your right arm back on out. Right, lift your right knee on up. Imagine going around a ball behind you. And then bring your right hand down to the mat. Right, turn your toes so that they're parallel with with the short side of your mat. Let's find the feet. Inhale and roll into your half lift, long spine. And exhaling, folding back in. Walk your hands through again. Fingertips face the same direction as your toes. You get to try to pull your head through. Right, breathe into your back. Draw your abdominal wall in. Okay, use your legs. Inhale, walk your hands back out underneath your shoulders. Pivot on your heels to face towards the front of the mat. All right, step your right foot right up next to your left. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Exhaling, curling in, drop your hips low. Inhale, bring your palms to press. Exhale, pull your palms to the center of your sternum. Inhale, lift your sternum away from your belly button, try to go taller, longer through your center. Cross your right elbow over your outer right thigh like you want your left knee to fit your left armpit. Right, if your right knee wants to slide forward, bring it back again so the two knees stay lined up. So really what you're doing is bring your right hip back a little bit. You can press your palms, you can roll your shoulders open. If you want to, you can open up and take a flyaway or take a bind. Right, because we've already done crow, we might as well do side crow, right? So you're all in the position for it, right? To come into side crow, right? I like to bend my knees more, right? You may or may not want to, but your right elbow or right tricep makes a shelf for your left knee. If you want to do it the easier way, right? Your left hip and left elbow also make a shelf, but it's kind of a little bit of a, well, just another point of support, right? So if you want to, you can tip on over. Right, your hip on your elbow or not, right, looking out, right, then the inner left foot comes up first usually, right, as you tip on over. Then if you want to open up your legs, right, do something fancy, right, go for it, it's kind of fun. You can even bring your cheek to the ground as long as you don't put weight in your neck. And then draw yourself all the way back around. Ooh, inhale your arms all the way back around to the center. All right, come on back into your Utkatasana. Pull your palms to your sternum. Inhale, peel your sternum away from your belly button. Exhale your left elbow over your right thigh. It's really good for your lungs to breathe in twists, right? Because you're cutting off the capacity in certain spots. right? Which then asks for more capacity in new spots, right? So it's really nice for that. All right, if you did side crow on the other side, you might as well try it on the next side. Sometimes it might be easier or harder. Again, your tricep is going to act like a shelf for the right knee, right? So you want to get as much arm over as you can, right? Then I think I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Just tip me over, right, and pour me out. So this one I'm not going to use the right elbow, right, just the left. Right? You can squeeze your heels in real tight if you want, right, doing anything you want with your legs. And then draw yourself back to center. Oh, I haven't done that in a little bit. Inhale your arms up. And exhaling, folding right over the top. Inhale and roll into your half lift. Exhale, both hands down. You can step, hop, or float your way back. Right elbows in. Inhale, upward facing dog. And back to your downward facing dog. Okay, inhale your right leg up and back. Exhale, step your right foot right on through. Left heel spins down. Inhale, rise up into your warrior one. Good, so left heel grounds, right? Ribs wrap in towards the center. And then there's this beautiful long line from your tailbone and sacrum, right? Dropping, kind of rooting all the way up through your arms, right? Wrapping, right? Rising. Good, deep inhale in. Exhale, right arm forward, left arm back. Open into your warrior two. Good, right knee lengthens out, left heel roots down, tailbone right down. Ooh, chest rising up. Take a big inhale in. And exhale, cartwheel, both hands down. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Right, hips in line with your shoulders. Inhaling. Following your breath back, inhale your left leg up and back. Exhale, left foot steps through, left knee fits your left armpit like the ball in the mid again. Right heel spins down, left heel, right heel line up front to back. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. All right, there's a little bit of a twist in warrior one because even though the right foot is down, right way behind you, you're looking to bring your right side body round to face forward. So it's kind of nice to have that spin, right, traveling all the way up your right side. Deep inhale in. Exhale, left arm forward, right arm back. You can turn your right foot out a little bit. Right? Maybe your feet come a little wider because your pelvis just widened, right? It was a little bit less spacious, and now you have that extra kind of room to play with as you come into warrior two. Give yourself a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, cartwheel your left hand down, right arm follows, left foot steps back. Exhaling as you lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog, and again, inhale your right leg up and back. Exhale, right foot through, left heel down. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, right palm face up, reach forward into reverse warrior. So your left hand can land above or below your left knee. I like to sometimes lift the inner left thigh and inner left knee away from the mat. You can also wrap your left hand around and press your right thigh away, like you're giving yourself your own adjustment, giving yourself more lift and length to your right side. The right knee tends to want to roll in towards your belly button. Try to redirect it back out straight over your the right middle part of your foot. And then exhaling, cartwheel, both hands down, right foot steps back, and take your flow. Good, left leg next. On the inhale, giving yourself a little more space. As you exhale, cartwheel both hands down, step your left foot back, and take your flow. Okay, truly following your own breath, right side to left side. Warrior one, warrior two, reverse warrior. I swam growing up, and I kind of think of this almost like swimming, right? Just going through the pattern, letting your breath help you out. Repeating it as many times as you need to get where you want to go. revive back in your downward facing dog. Give yourself a smooth inhale in. Lift your hips up and wide. Exhale, bring your knees down to the mat. Let them go wide, toes in towards each other. Knees about as wide as your mat. Hips drop back towards your heels, arms out long. You can always keep on your elbows if that feels better, or lift your hips up higher if it feels better to you. Begin to inhale your shoulders back over your wrists. Bring your knees on in. Cross your ankles. Swing your legs out in front. Okay, and then scoot your hips forward enough so you have room to roll back onto your mat. Take your knees, lift them up so your toes leave the ground. Lift your toes up if you want. Right, this would be Navasana or boat pose. Right, sternum up, belly in, chest high. And then slowly, slowly lowering down till your low back touches the ground, but your heels stay up, your shoulder blades stay up. Reach your arms out long. Again, think of smushing something underneath your low back. And then release all the way down to your mat. You could reach your arms out long like you're trying to touch the wall above you, or behind you, and your toes out in front of you. And then start to bring your heels towards your seat, feet about as wide as your mat. Let your knees windshield wipers side to side a few times so you get a bit of a twist happening. You can take your hands to opposite elbows. Next time your knees end up pointed to the left, cross your left heel over your right knee. Let your heel lengthen your whole right side, right elbow reaching away from your knee. Keep your heel and knee crossed, your ankle and knee crossed. Draw them up to center. Bring your left shin towards your sternum. You can rock side to side. You can push your knee out. Right? If you're really flexible here, you could even bring your foot behind your head. If it fits, it can be nice to find your foot in your elbow crease. Right? And you just give it a little hug in. Okay, let your right foot come down, ankle on the knee still. Right, keep the cross still. Right, now you don't want to move the right foot. It's just going to tip. Right, so you can bring your arms up again, cup opposite hand to opposite elbow, and then just let your left foot tip to the ground. Now, some people aren't going to find any stretch at all here. That's great. Others of us, right, find a nice long line down the left side. Right, so you can really think of that line, even if you don't find any sensation along it. You can keep the cross again, draw everything back on up to center. Then uncross, left foot down. Let your knees tip in, feet wide, so you're making like an A. And then let your knees windshield viper side to side a few times. Next time your knees end up pointed towards the right, let them hang out over there for a moment. You don't have to cross your heel over your knee, but if you want to, it gives you a little leverage on your left side. You think of your left elbow reaching away from your left knee. Okay, keep the cross, draw everything back to center. Right, draw your right shin as close to your sternum as you want to. Keep the ankle and the knee together. Right, let your left foot come back to the ground, right in line with your left sitting bone. Then just let the left foot tip out to the side. Right foot comes down to the ground. Good, ankle and knee stay crossed, strap everything back on up. Uncross your ankle from your knee. Give both knees a good squeeze in. Try to think of your knees tracking towards your armpits and then your tailbone lengthening towards the ground. Your knees do not need to be together. They can be if you want to, but you can also just let them fall out into your arms. Good, then from here, let your knees stay towards your armpits. Take your hands to your feet. Sometimes it's nice to have the hands on the outside, sometimes it's on the inside. For this, I think I like them on the outside because you can bring your knees right into your armpits and your hands can fit right perfectly in the arches of your feet. Again, your tailbone drops down towards the mat. You could absolutely stay here or bring your low back to the ground and take a happy baby. If you want to keep going into the more aponic pattern, the more rounded pattern, you can start to take your knees and bring them over towards your ears. And walking the triceps and shoulder blades underneath. So that was Karnapidasana. If you want to take something more like a plow, just gentle on your neck. You don't want When you're ready to come on out, you can slowly let your knees bend. Use your abdominal strength. You can use your hands and press them down and just slowly roll yourself on out. Okay, again, let your knees bend. Give them a squeeze, letting your low back come towards the ground. And almost like you're going to do a little back bend, right? You're reaching your hips towards the floor. Okay, we're going to take it into, it's called the purest of back bends, fish pose. And there's kind of a fun way to transition into it. You can straighten your legs towards the ceiling. Take your hands to your outer hips, so elbows are turned in towards your waist. And then legs come down, elbows press down, puff your chest up, right? Elbows on the mat, lifting up, and then let the crown of your head find the ground. It's almost like the skin on the crown of your head is getting pulled away from your nose. I think when I went to Richard Freeman's place, he was talking about how it's an inexpensive facelift. And slowly press your elbows down, chin towards your sternum, rolling on down to your back. Take a deep inhale, let your belly rise. And let it fall. And ask yourself if there's any last thing you'd like to do. If nothing comes up, great, you can come into shavasana. If something does come up, allow yourself to do whatever that is. And when you do start to find your way towards shavasana, you get to start to feel for the ground beneath you. And notice the spots in your body that are holding on. When you start to notice those spots, bring your awareness to those places. And I like to imagine as though my breath could go to those spots and almost tease them out or expand them out, just like we did at the beginning, right? Where you give yourself so much space. There's really no judgment. Please feel free to stay in your shavasana for as long as you need. Of course, please take really good care of yourself. I really look forward to seeing everyone back really soon.